Hey Cancer, it's Veroosh. Welcome to my channel. As you can see, I fixed my light problem. My videos have been coming out dark and I finally figured out how to make them bright and light again. I'm excited. Today we're going to talk about Venus retrograde and what it means for your sign. I'm going to do a collective video as well for everyone in a couple days. And since Venus retrograde ends today, this will be a focus on what happens at the end of Venus retrograde and how that's going to look moving forward, because there's some very interesting transits going on. So I hope you guys are well. This reading is for Sun, Moon, and Rising Cancer. And yeah, there's a lot going on for you in the 7th house of partnerships, so we'll talk about it in a minute. We'll start off with some tarot, the heart-shaped spread. If you haven't seen me do the heart-shaped spread, I'll explain it for you. So we have, first of all, the 9 of Wands. You're waiting for a solution or an answer. Right away, it says it very clearly. Now, if you've never seen the heart-shaped spread, this is the starting point energy for you and the other person. If you're single, this is what your environment is looking like. So I feel like everybody's in their corners, everybody's separated, maybe waiting on what the other person will say or do, waiting for an answer, waiting to see the outcome of what happens next. With Venus retrograde, a lot can come up. And so after Venus retrograde, we're doing a lot of introspection, trying to figure out, what it all means and how things changed. Let's see your perspective. So we have the Temperance card first, which is the card of Sagittarius. And then we have the card 4 of Wands. So I feel as though you're really taking care of yourself at this time, a lot of self-care. I feel like there's a situation outside of you that you don't have too much input on yet. And so you essentially have to wait for it to sort of figure itself out. I think your time at home is very good, and especially if you're already in a relationship, the energy at home is very nice. You and your partner are close. I can see you having pets and sharing, in just enjoying life together. I think that your mind is really focused on taking your life in a particular direction, and I think that you're not too much in a hurry to get there. So life is easy. You feel settled and comfortable because you know you're going in a certain direction, and you feel at peace. So it's much more about enjoying yourself than worried about what's coming next. There's been some assurances in your life, I suppose, that have in some way assured or suggested that things are going in a good direction. So I feel like you feel self-assured at this time, and you may feel confident that things are going well. So that's exciting. Let's see the next cards. Now, the next cards represent either your partner's take, or if you're single, the environment around you. So let's see what we have. We have the Magician. The Magician. This could actually mean that your partner is planning to ask an important question. This could be everything from, having to have kids, having to kids, having to have kids. Sorry, that's a Freudian slip. Okay, so having kids, or possibly, getting married, moving in together. Your partner might be thinking about proposing some kind of a big idea or initiating something. The Magician to me is a lot about initiating. And then we have the 5 of Swords. I don't know what's going on for them, but they've backed off on the idea several times. So whatever they're sort of figuring out, they seem pretty back and forth on. There's a problem with it. There's something in the idea or what's going on that's setting them back. And it might not be anything to do with you. It might be like a logistical problem, financial issue, whatever. But it really feels as though they really want to start something, they want to ask something, they want to do something, but there's problems. Likewise, if you're single and there's no partner, your environment around you, there's some things about it that work really well. Like you've met the right person or people with whom you connect well with, but it's like meeting a wonderful person on summer vacation, and then you go back to your corners of the country. So there's some issue that is causing you from really being able to enjoy the connectedness or the right atmosphere that the magician brings. So there's something really positive that's happening for you, and yet there's something about it that's hard to get. It's hard to, you know, bring in for yourself. But I think that with the magician, it's like problem solving. So if you really have met someone, or if you really want something to happen in your life, especially to do with money or relationships at this time, I think it's a problem solving phase more so than, oh, it's not going to happen. It's like figuring out how it's going to happen, how to make it work. Okay? Okay. So this reading is for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I know a lot of people are saying just watch for your rising. That's not my take. You can draw a chart like this for every single placement, and your sun has a placement for the first house as well. So I think that it's a little bit, how do you say, splitting hairs, or some people trying to sound like I don't know. I just don't think that that's correct. Furthermore, this general chart represents your sign, sun, moon, and rising, but it's a general chart for thousands of people. It's not a chart for each individual person. So that is different too. So watch for your sun, moon, and rising. And I will do a collective, as I said. Members, you guys will get an extended, but it's not going to be for Venus direct. It's going to be for the next part. So what happens in love in 2022 after. It's going to be a preview of a video that I put out for everyone later. So it'll be out in the next couple days. When it's out, there'll be a link in the description. If you want a reading with me, there's also a link in the description. My site is still down. And if you want, I have short form videos on Tarot Talk, which is my other channel. So just go into the description. Short form means anything under a minute. So they're just short little videos about astrology and whatnot. So if you want to check it out, go and check it out. Okay, that's all I had to say. So let's talk about your astrology. And your astrology, I was hoping for you to come up earlier. But as you know, I roll the dice, right? And so you came up when you did. And I honor that order because I don't like the karma of picking and choosing who gets first and all of that. So this has been the way that I've done it for years on my channel. It keeps me out of the politics of who's first and who's last. Anyway, so I wanted to do yours early on, and here you are like third to last. I guess it's okay. The reason I wanted to do it early is for you, this transit is in the 7th house, and since it's Venus retrograde that we're talking about, or Venus direct, we're talking about relationships, and so the 7th house is kind of it when it comes to important transits. So Venus retrograde started on December 19th and ended, or is ending, on January 31st or 30th, at 1 o'clock at night on Pacific coast. So it's essentially over now. Now, as when I'm reading, it's already stationed, which means that it's not moving direct or retrograde. It's optically standing still. You guys know that Venus doesn't actually go backwards, right? That's just how we perceive it. I'll talk about that in the collective as well, but just for your purposes, it's not actually going backwards. And so for you, this retrograde cycle has happened in Capricorn, which is your 7th house. Now, if you've been watching my channel at all in the last few years, you know that Pluto in your 7th house, I often call as probably the most difficult transit that any sign has. Because to me, Pluto in your 7th house is like antithetical. It's like the opposite of what you want in your energy. Pluto in the 7th house is very heavy-handed, and it's affecting your relationships. And so therefore, your relationships are going through huge, boom and bust experiences. And some of these experiences can be very intense. So for your sign, which is quite delicate in the heart, Pluto in the 7th house is greatly intense, very, very intense transit. So as Venus retrograde happens every 8 years, and last time Pluto had just entered into Capricorn when Venus retrograde happened in Capricorn. So the last time Venus retrograde was in Capricorn was 2013 to 2014. And so by then Pluto was already in Capricorn, and so this is the second one in which Venus is retrograde in Capricorn. So you can look back to that time to compare it for yourself. How does that affect you? Well, your relationships, your partnerships are going through some kind of a rehash. And since we're talking about the end of Venus retrograde, it's nice in a sense because you've already had the experience. If someone came into your life, they have. If someone from the past, an ex-partner or something else came up from the past in terms of business, you'd already know about it. And now that Venus moves direct, we get to move forward on all our lessons from Venus retrograde and the consequences of everything that's happened. So now until at least March 5th, we have some very intense energy on acting on our lessons and acting on our insights. And so you definitely have that happening in a big way because it's your 7th house of partnership. While this is happening, there's going to be significant transits. The moon is in Capricorn this weekend between the 29th and the 31st of January. And it will be also in this area of the chart between February 25th and the 27th. What does this mean? The moon activates all 6 of these transits while it's crossing. And it crosses, like I said, over 2.5 days. Very activating, triggering energy. So whatever's happening for you in terms of relationships may become activated. If something's been passive, if you've been waiting for an answer, it's the lunar transit that you may make the situation become a lot more clear. If you feel passionately about something, something may happen with the lunar transit. Beyond that, Mars and Venus are going to join together by about February 4th and continue towards Aquarius by March 5th. So you're going through this sequence of transits in which Venus and Mars are together back and forth for a month working out on relationships. So if you have a relationship struggle with your partner over anything, or your boss, because 7th house is partnerships like bosses and career relationships, those kinds of things. It's going to be a very formative month, so pay attention, Cancer, because whatever happens in this month will be far-reaching and consequential. There's a date on March 3rd when Venus and Mars are going to join Pluto together. That's significant for you in the 7th house because that will in some way ignite some type of situation to do with your relationship. If it's already happening, if something is stirring for you in your relationship, that will be a date in which something significant happens. The moon will be actually in that position or very close just a day before. Between the 25th and the 27th of February, the moon will be conjunct the Mars-Venus as they're approaching Pluto, and that's when a lot of things may come to pass. So your hot week coming up is the 25th of February till about March 3rd. And then again on March 5th. So 25th of February till March 5th, a lot of things will happen in terms of relationships. If your relationship is on a brink of problems or, separation or something, then it could actually come apart. If something significant needs to happen between you and your partner, then that can happen. If you've been waiting to start a relationship with someone and you've been kind of maybe dating or letting each other know how you feel, this could also be a moment in which something huge happens. So remember, whatever happens now really feeds into the Jupiter transit, especially for you, because it's in the 9th house. So don't sacrifice your life for a relationship at this time, should be your motto. Really take care of yourself, and really good things are coming up for you in the spring and summer. And look forward to that, and don't allow relationship issues to overshadow those big things, okay? One more thing in terms of astrology. I took so long to explain this to Pisces, which I did right before yours, and now I'm finding it so upfront and direct. But yeah, watch the collective reading for the astrology on this topic. It's going to be interesting. So as Venus turns direct, or as she has now, I'm describing it like a U-turn, like a vehicle turning around. A vehicle is traveling at a certain rate per hour, and then as it turns around, that period of the U-turn, its velocity going this way is very slow. And that's how Venus retrograde appears in the sky. So it's just like a massive U-turn that it's doing in your 7th house. Because it's doing this U-turn in which it stays in a particular degree for longer than it normally would, it holds its position vis-a-vis other planets, right? So it holds its angle to other planets, namely Uranus in your 11th house. I would be looking to your friends, especially if you're single, for new connections and for things to come through. Some of you may have secret admirers, and if you do, especially like a friend who has secret feelings for you, this may be a catalyst event for you. So something may happen from it. And remember, Mars and Venus will be together in this point for a period of time. Furthermore, Venus is going to sextile Jupiter, or it is now. Sextiles are doors. They're keys to open doors. And for you, Jupiter is in the 9th house that it rules. And so the 9th house has a lot to do with world expansion. So something might be happening for many of you that expands your horizons, gives you more opportunity. But remember it with the caveat that it's leading to something. How do I say this in a better way? That there are bigger things on the horizon for you. So if you're being drawn into a relationship or some type of situation now, if it's not like over the top wonderful, take it really slow, because there's more coming in the spring. So yeah, pay attention to that. So it's very important for you to be aware and pay attention. Okay, so that's it for terms of astrology. I'll do a deep dive on this in your collective reading, but just know that that's kind of what's going on with that. Okay, so let's take a look at your cards moving forward. So first off, we have the 9 of Swords. So this represents the next step for you. I think you're afraid of something. With all these transits in your 7th house, some of you may be experiencing like a pretty dramatic life experience. And so that 9 of Swords could be really contextualized with regard to that. Because Venus retrograde has just ended, and this is the nice side of doing a Venus direct video instead, is because you already know what happened. A lot of times with Venus retrograde, people are like nervous and apprehensive. And so they're nervous, like what's going to happen? How are things going to happen? How is it going to work out? Whatever, right? And so now that you've already seen what's happened, whoever's come into your life has, or you've heard from whoever you needed to hear from, you're sort of past that bump, and now you're moving forward again. But this 9 of Swords may make you feel, you may be tired at this point by all the energy. A lot of people may have demanded your time recently. A lot of people may wanted answers from you. You may have been in complicated interactions with people, and that can be very draining. So the 9 of Swords is possibly you just feeling pretty tired at this point, which is okay. Then we have the High Priestess. If you are wondering whether or not, this is pretty specific, if you're wondering whether or not the other person knows what your intentions are and everything attached to it, they do. They're very clear and they understand everything. I think that there's a lack of clarity on your part to understand. And this feeds into the Pluto kind of energy of the big question mark, because Pluto is all about power. Who has the power and how? And one way we can control power is by withholding information. Now, I'm not saying this person, if this is a person, is doing so willfully. We're under this energy now. But if you're feeling disempowered because you don't know the answer to something, I think that that could have a real resonance with the transits at this time. So it's happening because of those transits. And in other words, I feel like if your question is, do they know how I feel? Do they know my side of the story? I think they do. And I think that the 5 of Swords is telling me they're trying to figure it out, or someone's trying to figure it out. So whether it's an individual or whether it's a group of people, I think you don't have the full story and your mind is running rightfully. You're worried or anticipating, but I think that this is a really clear message that they know exactly what's going on. And in fact, I think that they're trying to make some wrongs right, even in some situations. Now let's do a clarifier for this side of the heart, which is your side, Cancer. So we have the Lovers first. That's really nice. That's the card of Gemini. And then we have the Moon, secret feelings. It really feels like someone has feelings for someone else, or secret feelings, or like you're in love with someone, but there's barriers. And again, the dynamic of Pluto is so important to understand this, like withholding, and this is toxic trait, like you don't want it, but withholding information, withholding love, or it can, so how do I explain it? I don't want to call out your love interest, right? I want to give it good faith and say they're not doing it on purpose. So that's where I'm kind of fumbling around. But I think you're in a situation where you feel disempowered by the lack of information or by the lack of clarity. And I think it hurts because your heart is in it. But like I'm saying, I'm giving it good faith by saying I don't think it's your partner's intention to do that. I think that that's the nature of the transits and the situation. And so unless you very clearly know that they're withholding information from you on purpose, in which you should go if you know that for sure, that they're intentionally doing it. I think it could be astrological while you don't know everything right now. That's the Moon. So, and you're feeling vulnerable because your feelings are involved and you don't want to get hurt. But I think there's a strong reassurance here that where you're going is good. So it feels like you're intimidated by the energy and by what's happening. And I'm not telling you not to be worried, but just make sure that you review that and don't, I'm just saying maybe don't be so upset. Queen of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra, or if you're single and you might be feeling very like, I'll never find love, I'll never find a family, I'll never find this type of situation. Things around you are changing and there's people involved and friendships are shifting, things are changing around you, and you may not be aware of some of the changes that are happening. The next card is the Devil, which is the Capricorn card. So this is the environment around you. There could be a Queen of Swords energy, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Sometimes she can be a man or a woman, any sign. Those are just general observations. To me, it's coming up as an older person, an older woman, someone who is meddling in a situation. So if you're waiting on a situation to work out between you and someone else, it really seems as though somebody is meddling, somebody is messing around, somebody is controlling the situation from behind. I would just say if there's smoke, there's fire. If the shoe fits, wear it, that's the last one. But if there's smoke, there's fire. If you're sensing that something's not right, I think you're right. I think that you're right in the sense that there's positive intention towards you from somebody, someone who is in a positive disposition towards you. And I think that there's things getting in the way, and I think those things are people. I think somebody is messing around, and they're either like, let's use an example, like their mother is getting involved and making it difficult. So if you're wondering what is up, that's what's up. Somebody is messing it up, messing up the situation. But that can be a blessing in disguise too, just saying. I mean, if the mother is actually able to, if somebody is able to mess up a relationship for you, then you should have been questioning the relationship in the first place. So that's one way to look at it. Another way is that it really feels as though somebody's meddling. And remember, Venus is also in the 7th house for career. So, if you feel like you should be getting promoted, or you feel like there should be some progress and something's messed up, look to the Queen of Swords. She's up to something. The outcome is the King of Cups, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. This could be you. I really feel like whatever you're being held back from will work in your favor ultimately. This could be you really enjoying yourself at the end of everything. This can also represent that somebody's going to come through with very positive energy towards you. On the bottom is the 9 of Pentacles. I think this Cancer, let me tell you what I think about this. I think that you are in a very strong energy for yourself. Like, your Jupiter, let me show you in the chart. Jupiter is at the top of your chart right now in Pisces, and it's entering into your 10th house later this year. So you're just positively glowing. What I kind of think is that you're not giving yourself credit for the energy that you have right now, and other people are taking away from you or taking it away. So in other words, if you are meeting resistance from other people screwing their noses and not being very fair, I think it's important for you to shift your focus on everything that you have going on, because I think you're letting them get in your head. That's what it seems like. I think that you're allowing them getting, and I don't think you should be so nice to people. If somebody's meddling around or causing you difficult things and trying to create barriers for you, I think that that person, first of all, I don't know if you see who it is, because it's the moon. It could be hidden, but if something stinks, there's probably a reason, or if there's smoke, there's fire. All those sayings I think apply here. So I hope this is a confirmation for those of you who are wondering. If something's not adding up, there's a reason for it, and I think that you're going to find out what, and I think you're going to grow past it and way beyond it. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.